welcome to Death Row.
Like we always do about this time.
I'm gonna fight your fucking ass!
You don't got, you're playing touch butt with that dork in the park.
There's a little snake in the grass.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
No forget Jesus, people.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I'm back.
Who the fuck is that guy? Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
I would like to introduce...
Welcome to the MMA for Money show, episode 58. In this show, we will review the amazing fight that was Holm versus... I couldn't get through it. We're going through FightIsland4, but we're previewing Marias for Sandhagen, which is an incredible fight, and honestly, a better fight card in general. I am Bob Voss, your favorite cards fan at MMA State of Mind on Twitter, here with Mikey Gills. That's Gills with a Z. Also follow the show on Twitter at MMA4Money Show. Mikey Gills, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad. Yourself? I had a little mini freak out. We were talking about it before the show started, but it's all good. Technology sucks and it hates me. We got it all figured out. We're going to do a good show. Let's go.
Well, as long as technology doesn't hate you people that are watching us live right now, because we are live right now on Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. If you're watching us live, we are on one of those. If you are not, you are missing out on my solid 2 weeks of winter beard growth. So you won't get to see the full progression because you're missing it this early on. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice, but not seeing our faces, and you want to see how the winter beard is coming in, hop onto YouTube where we have full length shows, sometimes snippets for you guys to check out. But you can also follow the show and listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Podcast, the RSS feed. Already told you about our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. You won't miss a show. Like, comment, share. And honestly, those Apple Podcast reviews and ratings are huge. Please do those. And if you do a rating, if you do a screen grab, send it to us, whether it be DM or just shout us out on Twitter. We will either retweet it or give you a shout out on the show. So please, by all means, take care of us. We'll take care of you. This is a relationship here. This is a very personal relationship. Right now, there's three of us, so it's kind of like a three-way. Normally, it's a four-way, a little quad, whatever. We're just no judgment, no labels, no labels. Okay, we're moving on from my mini tirade to review UFC Fight Night 4. I'm gonna go through all the results. We're gonna for sure hit. Well, we gotta talk about Carlos Condit. We'll go back to that after I go through all of everything. We have to after what happened last week. Even though Real Mike isn't here, he might hop in at some point, and if he does, we'll jump back to Carlos Condit.
Greatest wrestler of all time.
For obvious reasons. We'll go through the reviews, and then we'll go over GDR's fight, because that was a bet that we had. We will go over the wonderful heavyweight co-main event, probably not that much, and then Holm versus Aldana before we eventually move on to Fight Island 5. Yes, we are still in Abu Dhabi, which means fights won't get canceled, so it makes Mikey Gill's job a lot easier for DraftKings. So, Luigi Vendramini, TKO with a head kick into punches, took out at Jessen Ayari. Casey Kenny, Matt, you almost wanted that fight to be stopped. Unanimous decision via brutal body bashing over the course of 3 rounds against Alatang. Loma Lukbumi won the unanimous decision, basically off elbows and other stuff. Sorry for that mini pause. I was getting a text. The Real Mike will hop in at some point. Popped up on the computer there. Probably in about a half hour-ish or so. We'll see.
Yes. Should we save the whole Condit discussion? We just go right into the main card?
Yeah. We'll go into the main card, and we'll go into we'll just bring it up. Yeah, we'll save the discussion. We'll go into the fight card, and we'll jump back. It'll be a stitch back to the last show. Nasruddin Imavov. The pick and bet that I had for this card made it, but he was one that was a secondary on there, but it's fine either. He got the unanimous decision. There's a split draw, which I'm very confused about, in the Charles Jourdain versus Joshua Kulabawa fight. I'm going to try to pronounce that one again. I had Jourdain winning clear 29-28. I did not give him a 10-8, but I thought he won the second and third round. But hey, it's a draw. Go team. No bet on it, so I'm good. Carlos Condit. D1 All-American wrestler. Got unanimous decision over Court McGee. We'll get back to that one eventually. Kyler Bobice Phillips got a TKO elbows from back mount in round 2. It was vicious. His hair was flowing. It was beautiful. Dusko Todorovic, who I really liked, but was pretty steep in terms of odds, got a TKO ground and pound in round 2. My Dutch queen, the Iron Lady, Jermaine de Rendami, got that third round guillotine choke. And honestly, I'm not sure. I'm going to list all of it before I go too much of a tirade. We'll list all the results before we jump back. Sorry. Carlos Felipe, big underdog, got a unanimous decision against Jorgen De Castro in a heavyweight fight where nobody cares. Holly Holm got a unanimous decision over Irene Aldana. That was a loss on one of our bets. We had a bet on Aldana at the plus 100. That was a loss, but we had the win on GDR, so it was a break-even night for us. So before we jump back on the couple specific fights we're going to talk about, Mikey Gills, if you could go over how we did on DraftKings.
Yeah, so this was one of those cards, man, that just frustrates you. It's absolutely just, it ruins you. So on this card in particular, we picked 3 underdogs. We had Carlos Condit, Irene Aldana, and Nasruddin Imavov. Now, it was kind of a weird play with some of the guys that wanted to play at super high pricing, and then then it forced us into this position to pick 3 underdogs. But 2 of them hit, and not just 2 of them, but the first 2 underdogs that we hit. So again, this is just like that time I told you that I was at the fantasy draft. I had visions of going to Tahiti on like all expense paid vacation, but no. So Condit hits, the greatest wrestler of all time, completely wrestled his way to a decision, whatever. Well, again, we'll get back to that. Now he folded Carlos Condit's beak, not Carlos Condit, my bad. I can't talk right now. I'm still flustered from the technology from earlier. Court McGee folded his beak sideways again, like we were talking about last week. Then you had Imanov coming around. I couldn't watch that fight because, like I told you, we're doing like some wedding planning stuff. Not for me. But my girl is in a wedding, so that is taking up most of my time. Irene Aldana comes out. She's our last underdog. And just, she didn't get it done. But Condit got us 84 points. Imamov got us 72. Aldana got us 34.5. Getting to the guys that actually cost a lot of money. Jorgen De Castro, that went the exact opposite way that I thought it would. He got beat around the cage for a fight. He only scored 24 points on $8,900. That sucks. Jermaine de Rendami, we were just talking about it. 64.5 points at that third round finish. Then we got Charles Jourdain. And you knew that fight was going to suck the second he cut. That was the first fight that I got home to actually see. I turned on my TV. I was like, oh shit, here's the Jourdain fight. Here we go. He gets cracked, dropped, and was just tentative for the rest of it. He turned it on as the fight went on, but he only scored 28 points in a draw. And our DraftKings lineup, 309 total points, which sucks because we were following our best week that we had ever done. And then we dropped back to a 3 of 6 for 309. Not our best week. We're going to get turned around this week.
Now, we're going to save, as we talked about, we are going to save the Carlos Condit discussion because that is going to be good if we got both mics going at it. It's always good when we got both mics going at it.
Well, I'm hoping that the other mic is right now. He's not here because he's baking the Toll House cookies that he was talking about last week, the really easy ones. But, yeah,
nice.
We'll see.
So we will for sure hit the top 3 fights as we discussed. So a little bit further into the GDR Julia Pena fight. This was my bet for the card, was on GDR, the minus 135 to win 1 unit. She looked fantastic in the first round, rocked Pena early and almost dropped her. She almost went down to a knee, landed real hard twice in that round, once that actually almost dropped her. And just fantastic takedown defense, kept it going, stayed away from the cage for the most part. Pena got that like last 2-second takedown. So, I mean, I would score the first round for GDR pretty clear, keeping distance, landing well. Second round was a little bit more even, but not by any means a blowout. But Penny was finally just trying to find her way, even though she was getting clipped quite a bit. And then there was that near, not quite a submission, but a pretty tight submission tail end of the second where GDR looked really good. Like she was able to put something on her. I believe it was a head and arm, if I recall correctly.
It was Von Flew.
There you go. See, that would have been awesome. And then in the third round, Penny was looking a little bit more desperate, in my opinion, because she knew it was close. She knew it was 1-1, trying to go in there. Her corner trying to tell her that GDR's tired. I don't see it. She goes in, and then GDR just locks in that guillotine and chokes her out cold. And she's out for like maybe even 10 full seconds before finally, because she's not tapping. Like, why isn't she tapping? Why isn't she tapping? Well, it's because she's unconscious and she's limp. They go and check her arm. It's not moving. So I don't know. It was a great fight to see. And and just see how well GDR performed. Obviously, it's a bet on here, so I'm very glowing for it. And honestly, I've been fairly down on Pena ever since, or Pena. I've never been overly high on Pena. I always felt like she was overvalued versus people that she should beat. And then, but hey, because of her, I got good odds on GDR, and I got good odds on Shevchenko when I bet Shevchenko against her. So here's hoping she keeps that train going for me. So Mikey Gills, GDR, Julia Pena.
No, I mean, you basically covered most of it. The one thing that I really noticed in particular is Juliana Pena, physically, she didn't look as good as she's looked in the past. I thought she came in looking a little bit soft, and that might have played into why in the third round she just got kind of taken for a little bit of a ride there. But shout out to Real Mike. I mean, last week he was talking a lot about how GDR's jiu-jitsu on the ground had improved, and that really told the tale of that fight. I mean, she was able to figure it out in the second round, got out of something, and then in the third round she finished what she started. So good on her.
Next up, I'll give this one more to you just because I just remember I was like physically sick as I watched it. But I remember us talking about it going into this fight that it just made no sense why this was the co-main event. It's like two guys who had lost at heavyweight and didn't look that good in losses fighting each other. And I think I agreed with you. I thought De Castro had the better chance because he lost better in the previous fight. But not gonna lie, coming off of like, dude, this was an entertaining fight card. You got to see Carlos Condit win. You saw the finish by Phillips. You saw the finish by Todorovic. Then you saw GDR's finish, and then this fight.
Yeah,
and then the main event. So I'll give you whatever you want to say about the co-main. I don't want to.
This is one at this point in the night on our DraftKings card, we still have 2 fights left, and we are still in pretty good shape after this. I mean, the Aldana fight hadn't happened yet. The GDR just cashed for that late sub. And then Felipe goes in there and just starts outstriking our boy, which goes against everything that I saw in the film. Jorgen De Castro had really good leg kick, but I'm not talking about in this fight. I'm talking about like leading in. What I was seeing, he had really good leg kicks, really good body kicks. He had faster hands, I thought. And then once they started the fight, Felipe, for the first 2 rounds, just landed more often than at will, was backing him up, and Jorgen De Castro didn't really look to do anything. And then in the third round, pretty clearly down 2 rounds, De Castro, I guess he was either exhausted or tired of getting hit, was just pushing Felipe into the cage. And like his offense was as depressed as I was watching it. And, that's when it was over and you finally see that DraftKings 24-point total final score. And that's when you just fall back into the couch. And remember that Jaws, the push-pull angle? That's what the world sees in your face when you're depressed. And nothing else. That sucked.
No. I would like to say that after this fight, we were rewarded from an amazing main event. But that didn't happen. No offense to this is a stereotypical Holly Holm fight. So if you like her fighting style, you had a fun night and you had a good night and you were entertained. I'm not there. She did what she had to do. We had the other bet for our show last week was a 1-unit bet on Irene Aldana at plus 100 to win 1 unit. And some of that has to do with you have fighters that you like that you keep betting because they keep being in good scenarios at good prices. And eventually you have to hop off the train. It just depends when you choose to do so. I jumped off one too early with Jan Blachowicz, and I lost a big underdog on that one. And I've been stereotypically have jumped off a little bit too early. This one we rode through. Like we thought maybe this was the chance. And I think she had the striking that she could have done it, but she just couldn't I didn't think Holm was going to have the output she did. And Aldana just couldn't keep up. She couldn't keep the output going. And then at the opportune moments, we saw wrestler Holm. And I thought there was a chance we could do this, but I thought over the course of 5 rounds, Aldana had a chance to put more on her. It didn't happen. So that's a loss. We had a break-even night. Didn't win, didn't lose. Break-even 1-1. It's just a weird situation for Holly Holm now. Like, does she get a title shot? I don't know. She's lost every title shot other than when she fought Ronda Rousey. So GDR rematch, I guess. I mean, I'm for it just because I would bet GDR, which is hilarious because I bet Holm in their first fight. It was a pick'em. I had Holm at -105. I thought Holm won that because of all of the late shots that should have points taken away. And even without that, I thought it was a close fight, but Holm would have won. And now I'm complete opposite. I'm all on GDR now, but I mean, she just won me money, so recency biased. But so thoughts on the main event, Holm versus Aldana, where you see Aldana at, and I guess what to do with Holm next.
As far as just starting off with this fight, did someone tell Irene Aldana that she was allowed to move sideways?
No.
Like, was that did she know she was allowed to?
Wasn't allowed to. They put one of those tension ropes between her ankles. She physically could not side shuffle.
It was the most maddening thing I've ever seen. I mean, it went on forever. She was literally chasing Holly Holm. Like, if you're just watching this podcast and you didn't watch the fight, imagine 5 rounds or just however long she was doing it for. I know it changed up a little bit at the end, but like, of a person literally just following someone around the cage, getting punched in the face repeatedly over and over. It maddening.
By the same shot.
Yeah.
By the same shot.
I mean, credit to you. If you played Holly Holm last night on DraftKings, she scored 153 points. That's incredible. That's like
for Holly Holm, that's incredible.
That's like Merab Davasheli territory when he gets 12 takedowns over, who was it? Was it Casey Kent? I can't remember. But regardless, Aldana, I don't know where she goes from here. Home GDR, I'm for that. I don't really have anything else to say for you. You pretty much covered most of it, but congratulations to Holly Holm. I had kind of written her off. I thought at 38, this might be the time where she falls off. She told me to go F myself, and yeah, deserved it, I guess, for betting against her.
She's gonna fall off at some point. She just has to. There's this weird situation where right when the UFC got the 135-pound division in it, there was like a solid 10-ish fighters in there. And the top, other than Ronda Rousey, and I guess Miesha Tate, the rest of the top 10 just still there. And they're the equivalent level of skilled. They've maybe added a couple more things. And as they've started to fade age-wise, they have a few more tools. And all these up-and-comers just don't have it. So apparently eventually, we're going to have a 45-year-old Holly Holm fighting for the title against a 40-year-old GDR.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the heavyweight division was for a while in that sense, where it was just all the older guys that were more skilled than anybody that was younger coming up, and they just dominated the division. And that's why you see, guys in their late 30s and 40s still, taking titles. And maybe that's what women's 135 is going to.
Well, honestly, I think that makes sense for our recency bias with in the last year and a half, especially the last year, we've seen a dramatic skid from all of the fighters that were on the come up when I first became a fan. So there's all these fighters that we're not picking because of nostalgia, we're picking because of skill, but the body just isn't there anymore. Right. But I think that's just because we all remembered, whoever had however many comebacks. Overeem has come off 2 or 3 fight losing things and got a title 12 times, and whoever else. And I guess that's just not the case. So I guess I'm aware that is another depressing note. I apologize. Hey, we didn't lose money. And even with everything that happened on DraftKings, 309 isn't terrible. I mean, it's by no means the best we've done, but that's by no means terrible.
I mean, I'm certainly not happy with it by any stretch. I mean, on a fight card like this, if you're in a position to pick 3 underdogs, you should be getting 3 of your top end plays that are going to cash out. No ifs, ands, or buts, because that's why you put yourself in the position to have to pick the lower price people. And 2 of my 3 underdogs hit. I should have had a crazy good night this week, and it didn't. And 309 points. I'm not happy with that at all. I mean, last week we crushed this score, and I expected way more out of this one, especially as soon as Condit cashed. I was texting Real Mike, laughing it up with him, and then it just got worse from there. So whatever.
Well, we will move on. Not really moving on because we're still on the island. We're still on Yaz Island. We're still on Fight Island. We're still in Abu Dhabi. Like I said before, that's fantastic. That means the utter vast majority, if not all of these fights, will actually happen. Since it's just the 2 of us for now, before the Real Mike hops in, we are just going to I'm going to read off the matchup. Mike Gills is going to give the DraftKings breakdown, and I'll give my little 2 cents afterward. Just quick picks, at least from me, for the most part, other than a few scenarios until we get more closer to the main card, and then any bet that's involved. Although my bet's not till later on, and neither is real Mike's, and he should for sure be back by that bet. So starting off the card, Tagir Ulanbekov. Actually nailed that one. Minus 400 versus Bruno Silva plus 325.
Oh, you're straight to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Tagir Ulanbekov, 12-1, 1 knockout, 7 submissions, 5'7", going off for $9,300 on DraftKings. It's right off the bat, he's a teammate of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Oh wow, I got the unknown guy's name and I screwed up on the champ. That's hilarious. Number 1 flyweight out of Russia, making his UFC debut. So in his last 3 fights in a row, 2 by submission, he's exactly what you would expect. An aggressive chain wrestler, heavy ground and pound, uses it to set up for his submissions, which he will hunt for immediately. Going against Bruno Silva, 10-5-2, 4 knockouts, 3 subs, 5'4", 66-inch reach, going off for $6,900. 2-3 in his last 5, 0-2 since entering the UFC. Last lost to David Dvorak in March. You know, this is a guy, he's decent everywhere, not great anywhere. And it's hard to see how he wins this fight in any position based on all the tape that I've seen off Ulanbekov. Ulanbekov's my pick to win. The problem for Silva is that his grappling just won't be enough to save him here. I think Tagir takes him down, and even at $9,300, I think this guy's a lock for some points. I would put him in your lineup for sure. So let's roll.
Yeah, I guess you pretty much nailed it on that one. I mean, this seems tailor-made for Ulanbekov. You don't have a guy that has the type of power that's going to chin check him, and other than the submission game going for Silva, he's not. Is the type of stifling, like top control. He's not going to be able to do anything. So obviously, this is not a surprise to anyone that I'm picking a minus 400, but I am picking a minus 400.
Take a risk, man.
I will later on. Technically,
Sorry.
there's
Gotcha.
2 underdog. Well, one. We'll get there. Next up, Tracy Cortez minus 210 versus Stephanie Egger plus 175.
Stephanie Egger, yeah.
Egger.
It kind of had me thinking back to Nicole Eggert. I think she was a Baywatch babe for a while. Like, not quite. I think it was the one that married Mick Mars from that one band. I can't remember. But anyway, starting off, Tracy Cortez, 7-1, 1 knockout, 1 sub, 5 decisions, 5'5", 67-inch reach, going off for $9,000. She lost her pro debut, but since then she's won 7 straight. She's 1-0 in the UFC. 1-0 in the UFC after winning on Dana White's Contender Series. Her styles, good defense on the feet, uses her stand-up to get close and clinch up for takedowns. Very aggressive on the ground. When she gets on the ground, she uses her strikes very well, hunts for submissions, but ends up usually just getting the decision. Going up against Stephanie Egger, 5-1, 1 KO, 2 subs, 5'8", going off for $7,200 on DraftKings. Making her UFC debut, she's won her last 3 straight. She's also a wrestler, but just when you watch her tape, she's just not quite as good as Cortez is at basically everything. It's kind of like the last situation, but just on of the last fight with Tagir, but just not quite as skilled on either level. Tracy Cortez should win this, I think. She's been on a tear since her first pro fight, and she's been beating better competition along the way. Egger's a worse version of her. And again, $9,000. I think Cortez could either get a late finish or score you a lot of points because she likes to stay busy on the ground.
I like Cortez 2 here, but I do not think she's going to get the finish. I think this is going to go to the scorecards, but still a chance to score a lot of points in DraftKings. I do think that she's going to be the more mobile one on the ground. This is a very tough out for a debut for Stephanie. I think what's bothering me about the last name is, have you ever seen the movie The Kingsman?
A while ago. I can't really remember it.
Well, there's a sequel to it. Either way, the main guy's last name, just, I don't know. I'm going to move on before it because I'm spacing out just enough that it's not going to quite connect. So
how am I going to concentrate on this next fight when I'm thinking about the Kingsman? I got Colin Firth on the brain.
Exactly. And then the second one, he has an eye patch because he got shot in the face and he's obsessed with insects and he's drawing butterflies everywhere. And then Channing Tatum comes in, but he's from Texas and they own a whiskey distillery. Sorry.
Dude, you're dropping knowledge right now.
I don't have a lot of stuff other than fight knowledge, but it's random movie stuff. So
Sweet.
If it ever comes up, I will give you random unneeded detail about random movies.
Okay, fair enough.
As many frequent ones, but like pretty much if you get me from like 92 to like 2014, there's like not many gaps. And then 2014 to like now there's more gaps, but I'm still pretty solid. It's like those kids' age when you start having kids that you don't see as many of the movies, but
we'll get you in on a Zoom call the next time we play Scene It over here. It's gonna work out. You're on my team.
I've never lost in Cena, actually.
Ooh, all right.
Oh, sorry.
Cheers, sir.
This is a very odd conversation. So,
Sorry.
but keep it classic. Keep it classic. But then again, this is a backward shirt because you guys are all seeing it on video. I need to start like buying backward shirts. So sorry, lack of sleep. I tend to ramble. Giga Jacade Z plus 125 versus Omar. I did say I'm picking Cortez. Just double checking. I don't want to skip ahead too much. Got it right the first time. Try to repronounce it and I get it wrong. Jacade Z, which you would think would be the harder name to say than the first name, but whatever. Plus 125 versus Omar Morales, minus 145. Mikey Gills, DraftKings wise, tell me about Jacade Z versus Morales.
All right, so I'll start off with Giga Jacade here. 10-2, 6 KOs, 1 sub, 6'4", 75-inch reach, going off for $7,900. Former pro kickboxer. He's 3-0 in the UFC with a couple of split decisions mixed in. So really good technical striker, but honestly, in his run so far, he hasn't really given us that high-level kickboxing that you might expect from somebody with 50 kickboxing fights. He's shown a weakness on the ground, an ability to be bullied against the cage. And one of the things that you go through this guy's record, and you hear me talk about this on the show a lot. He has a lot of fights on his record that against guys that are just not any kind of good. Like he's got like a 1-10 on there, and I had to rewrite all my notes, but I'm almost positive I remember a 2-31. Somebody please, yes, I think he won that fight by armbar if I remember correctly. Somebody please tweet me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive that that's true. Going up against Omar Morales, 10-0, 2 KO, 7 subs, 5'11", 74-inch reach, going off for $8,300 on DraftKings. Bellator veteran, 2-0 in the UFC after winning on Dana White's Contender Series. It's a very opportunistic grappler. He's going to try to bring this fight to the ground as soon as he can, but he's good enough to hold his own on the feet too. Like I don't think if these two get into a situation where they're on the feet, this guy's not going to be lost at all. He likes to come at you with power, and the only thing that really bothers me about him coming into this fight is that he's coming down in weight for the first time. And that's always kind of weird, but I think Morales could win this fight. He's good enough on the feet to not get knocked out by a pro kickboxer. And I think he has more tools overall. With his finishing ability for $8,300 on DraftKings, I really like him. Chikadze, he's a decision machine at 7,900. If you need a guy who could win you a decision, but maybe not score the most points, maybe grab Chikadze. He's a stay away from me. Morales is a much better play.
I'm going to agree on this one. I'm realizing that for this fight card, apparently this is going to happen a little bit more frequently. I know at least there's a couple coming up that I disagree with you on, but I like the fact that Omar Morales, he's currently training at Hard Knocks 365. That is the same gym as Anthony Rumble Johnson, and training with, now I'm spacing out on their head coach. God,
I got nothing.
Lack of sleep will do that to you guys. Either way, former pro kickboxer, trained for a long time in the Dutch style of kickboxing, Muay Thai. It's going to come to me like 3/4 of the way through this fight card, and then I'm going to have to hop back, and that's going to bother me. If you can't tell, I'm rambling because I'm hoping it clicks, but apparently it's not happening. Either way, the coach is, if you're going to have anybody in your corner going against a pro kickboxer, especially someone who's a little bit more on the volume oriented without a lot of power, that would be the coach that you want, even though I'm forgetting the name, obviously. You're going to listen to this and you're going to be mad at me, and I'm going to listen back to it and be mad at myself. So we're equal in that sense. But I like him better on the ground, obviously, and I think has a better chance of a finish. Actually thinking probably like a 3rd round sub is if I had to pick something right offhand, although minus 145, that's not bad for a straight. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't always like guys going down, although if it's more grappling heavy and having the size with it, if this was at the apex, I think I would go for Morales for a finish, because I think in the small cage, you'd be able to push him up against the cage early, get him down, and have more time to find the opportune position to get a submission. Whereas here in the full-size cage, I'm not sure it's going to happen as much, but I don't know, 34 is a bit late to make a drop. I'm talking myself out of it. The pick is Morales for this one. Next up, Ali Alkazi plus 190 versus Tony Kelly minus 230. Mikey Gills, where are you at here?
Now, start off with Tony Kelly on this one. He's 6-2, 2 knockouts, 3 subs. He's 5'9", 70-inch reach, which is going to come into play in this fight. He's going off for $8,700. He's the much bigger guy than Alkazi in this fight. he lost his UFC debut, but it was in a fight of the night that he had against Kai Camarco, which was in August of this year. Really good fight, and it showed me a lot about him. He's a guy that will go out there. He's not going to take a couple of punches and turtle up or anything like that. Before that fight, though, he hadn't fought in over a year, which is kind of like the more interesting part of this is that after not fighting for a year, before that fight, it had been 3 years in between his fights. And he was 1-2 over that span, dating back to 2016 with a loss to Kevin Aguilar, who's currently 1-3 in the UFC. On the other side, Ali Al-Akizi, 8-4, 1 KO, 4 subs, 5'6". Like I said, the size difference is going to be a big part of my pick in this fight. He's going off for $7,500 on DraftKings. I just think, like, even despite the inactivity concerns, I like Tony Kelly to win. He's the bigger, longer reach guy, and I think when it gets to them fighting on the mat, they're both going to be going for scrambles. I just think Kelly is the much bigger, stronger guy. And, you know, the last 5 out of his last 6 fights have been stoppage victories. So I think a guy like that against an overmatched opponent going off for $8,700 on DraftKings, if you trust him to win this fight, which I do, he could be a great play for you. I think he could just use his size to bully this guy around the cage, get maybe a second, third round finish. And, you know, other than that, I don't really have much else on Al-Kaizi. What do you have?
Not much, honestly. Not know much about either fighter in this one, so I'd probably go with what you currently said. Sorry, I was busy searching up. It's Henry Hooft. That was going to kill me, so I had to look it up, who the coach was. He's training with Henry Hooft at Hard Knocks 65. Just happy I found that. No,
I saw you looking off the screen for a second. I thought you were trying to look up Giga Chikadze's 2-31 guy.
No. That kind of, I don't care about that. Me forgetting a coach's name that I should know really bothers me. And then also I was messaging with Mike because he just got home. So in the mere moments, real Mike will get back, and then we'll take a break to go back to Carlos Condit. But until then, we're gonna keep going. But no, I'm just gonna. Blind pick on this one. I guess Tony Kelly. I'm not going to BS on this one. I do not know either of these fighters, but we will go to the next fight and maybe get that one in before Real Mike gets here, because I do know these fighters, and these fighters are past money winner for the show, Impa Kazaghani, minus 250, obviously much steeper than when we got him, versus Joe Quinn Buckley, plus 210. Mikey Gills, Impa versus Buckley.
So real quick, before we get into this fight, one cool thing for me personally, for the people who may be watching for the first time, I haven't been on this show for an extremely long time, maybe a month and a half, 2 months at this point. I'm now getting to the point where I'm starting to break down fighters for the second time. I had put money on Buckley in his last fight when he lost, and then I put money on Impa Kazaghani in his last fight and he won. So it's kind of cool for me to be able to like finally go like, hey, this guy happened. But I'll start off with Impa. I love this guy. I know you do too. He's 8-0. 5'11", 73-inch reach. He's 1-0.
Needs to tone down the tweets a little bit, but still a fan.
He's retweeted me like 5 times. I'd say tweet more. Screw it.
He just keeps going.
Dude, I was going to tweet him before the show with a link to our shit. If I told him we were going to shout him out, I guarantee we'd retweet it. Anyway.
I'll do it now. Why not? Let's see if it works out.
Yeah. He's 1-0 in the UFC after going, 2-0 in the UFC after Dana White's Contender Series. He's a pressure heavy style. He's not a finisher. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and try to finish.
It looks like he should be, though. It's bothersome.
Yeah, he should, right? The problem is I think he's just a little bit of a slow starter. I've seen that in a bunch of his fights. And then by the time he gets going, he's just in I'm gonna whoop you mode. But the one big problem I have for him that we'll talk about in a second is his defense going into this fight. I'm not picking against him, but it really is the main flaw of this guy you can point out. Because on the other side is Joaquin Buckley, or Joe Joaquin. I know there's like weird pronunciations of that. I'm just going to say Joaquin because I like Phoenix. 10-3, 7 KO, 3 decisions. He's 5'10", 73-inch reach, going off for $7,300 on DraftKings. He's a Bellator veteran. He lost his debut to Kevin Holland back in August. Some circumstances around that fight, though. It was on 8 days' notice after his last fight. And Kevin Holland is a tall task for anybody on a full camp. 8 days' notice is almost a suicide mission. He's a very explosive striker. He's a guy that's going to come out there and throw some really wild crap at you. Now, for breaking down this fight in particular, in his fight against Holland, Buckley took a lot of damage. He was badly beaten by Kevin Holland. He was dropped multiple times. He was finished late in the fight. This is 2 months later. This is way too soon for him to be back. The only saving
got to that part before I did.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Just start yelling when I start running over all your stuff. But Impa doesn't have Holland's power, but at the same time, do you need it after getting dropped twice like that? I mean, you can still hear the echo of the punch that put him away. But Buckley's the type of guy that he's going to throw a bunch of wild stuff. And what I was talking about when I broke down Impa is the one fault that he has in his style is when he gets in there and gets in on those exchanges, he leaves himself wide open. He will load up and throw straight from the hips. And if he starts playing that game with Buckley, that's Buckley's game to play. And that is my worry. I'm not picking Buckley in this fight. He's $7,300 on DraftKings, though. And if he can draw Impa Kasanaganya into some kind of a firefight, he could potentially be a play on DraftKings. I thought about putting him on our card, but I love Impa too much. I can't do that. So for me, it's Impa's going to win this fight. I could see Buckley having a path to victory, but what do you think about this one? Oh, we got another one. Here he comes.
What up?
Hello.
What's up, sir?
How my dudes?
How you feel?
How
bro?
are you? I fucking feel better if Carlos Condit fucking got taken down at least one fucking time. Holy shit. Court McGee, fuck you. You know you got paid off in some conspiracy fucking theory type bullshit that UFC fucking paid your ass and Carlos Condit so you didn't fucking expose a shitty takedown game because my boy fucking Mikey Gills up here says that Nick Diaz is coming for that Condit fucking fight and it's going to be fire. But, dude, fuck that. That was bullshit, dude. I wanted a takedown.
All right, look, Carlos Condit, his wrestling is so good that Court McGee didn't even think about it. Carlos Condit right now is eating Toll House cookies. He made them himself. They were so simple.
Everything is super clear to me now, and this is exactly why Court McGee was a drug addict loser. He's a fucking idiot. His IQ is so fucking low. He's a wrestler. He's not a striker. He's just going to strike 3 rounds with Carlos Condit. Yeah, you're going to lose, bro. And if I would have known you would have done that, I would have bet my ass fucking for sure on Carlos Condit because Carlos Condit's only weakness is takedowns.
Hey, real quick though, shout out to Court McGee because I heard Carlos Condit's post fight.
Fuck Court McGee.
Carlos Condit in his post fight press conference said that he saw Court McGee take his broken nose, pull it down, and put it back into place. All the respect in the world for that. Just throwing that one out there.
See, to me, it just means that he's used to having his nose broken like a little bitch. So he's got skills and experience, but breaking that shit back. See, I don't know how that's like. I don't know what that's like. So, you know, whatever, dude. But yeah, definitely Mikey was right about Carlos Condit.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You deserve that one.
This makes up for that one time you went after me for going against both of your picks that one week when I was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got it.
It'll happen again.
That'll happen.
We'll be right. We'll be right sometimes.
Hey, and while we're on a rant, Aldana, are you fucking stupid? Are you? Let me follow the pin. Let me follow the pinata this way. She's gonna go this way, but why don't we go that way? Dude, she keeps going this way. But I'm gonna go. I can't go that way. What? She's fucking dumbest coach, dumbest corner, dumbest fight. I'm so sorry that I fucking bet on that. That goes on the list of fighters of all-time worst bets that I could ever think of that makes me so fucking sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw my $3,000 TV in the way I just got. I was so fucking stoked to get the thing. Now I was like trash watching Aldana. Garbage. She's like Mexican beer that just some piston threw on the side of the road and said, blah. That's Aldana type beer.
That's why we tap the Rockies over here.
That's the type of beer. Pretty much that type of beer right there.
Only if it's been warmed up and then cooled down and warmed up a second time.
Yeah,
we're in that realm. Well, Real Mike, we just got Mikey Gills putting down all the DraftKings information for the Impa got it right the first time. Casagnane, minus 250 versus Joe Quinn Buckley plus 210. His full breakdown of it. Before I give mine, since you're coming in hot, where are you for Impa versus Buckley?
You know, last time we cashed Impa for his UFC debut, and it was not easy. It was definitely a nail biter, and he didn't have the best stand up that I would like to see, and that's because he doesn't have a lot of experience. You know, the 8-0, it just doesn't. To me, you haven't been through hell and came back or shown anything yet. I like Impa a lot. Obviously, we bet on him, but at this time, I need to see more from him and more development. So I would. There's no way in hell. Ever. No fucking way am I laying 2+ units on fucking Impa to make one when he doesn't have the experience. He's never came back from a loss. So I would have to back Joaquin Buckley on that dog money. And I think that's the best bet and probably DraftKings pick.
Oh, we're talking about no.
Reflect.
Sorry, I just talked right before you came on. No, I said the same exact thing for Buckley. I didn't pick him to win, but I did say that he would be a great DraftKings pick, just in the sense that if he could draw Impa into a firefight, Impa does kind of put his hands down when he throws, when he gets in close, once he starts those exchanges. I agree with you completely on that part of it, but I am picking Impa to win the fight.
No worries.
No, my entire premise behind going with Impa, obviously, kudos to him for cashing for us. And I do think with some more experience, he can be really, really good. My main reason with going with him in this scenario is Mikey Gills brought it up, and it was my main point on this, is the fact that Joe Quinn, I keep wanting to pronounce it wrong also, Buckley, we're just going to go with Buckley from here on out. The fact that he got finished by fight time, it'll be like 2 months and like 2 days in the third round versus Kevin Holland, and got dropped twice beforehand and just got brutalized. And although Impa doesn't have big power, he has consistent power all the way through. It's that moderate power hitting you over and over again. And if Buckley has not recovered, he's still going out. So this is way too steep, the minus 250, for me to go with it. But in terms of just a straight pick, I'm going to go with Impa. And who knows, maybe he'll get his first finish because Buckley has just been brutalized 60 days ago.
Quite possibly. Kevin Holland's pretty impressive though lately.
That's true. Next up, Rodrigo Nascimento, minus 265 versus Chris Daukaus, plus 225. Now I have a quick question, because in researching Rodrigo Nascimento, so he fought a guy with the same last name in another debut, and I don't know if it is, because I tried to find info on it and I couldn't quite get any more. In my head, it's his brother. I have no proof of this, but up here, it's going to be his brother from here on out. So we're going to go, we'll go Mikey Gills, do the DraftKings, then we'll go to Real Mike, and then I'll finish it off before we jump to everyone's favorite fighter, Drew Brees.
All right. So real quick, starting off on Chris Daukaus. This is a special fight for me. Real Mike, you'll remember this. Bob, you were on vacation for this week. The first episode that I was ever on this show, the very first pick I ever gave on the show was an underdog pick, Chris Daukaus over Parker Porter, and he cashed it. Finished that fight. So Chris Daukaus, 9-3, 7 knockouts, 1 sub, going off for 7,000 on DraftKings. He looked good in his last fight against Parker Porter. He got some really good punches on him, and then he threw a knee on him that knocked him like half dead up against the cage. Finished it shortly after. He's being underrated in this fight. He's a very athletic heavyweight, a very good boxing, good slick stand-up on this guy. But another thing that people are not talking about, because I'll get to his opponent in a second with his opponent's ground game, Chris Daukaus is also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So when people are discrediting this guy it's saying that if he gets taken down, it's done. It's not that simple. And no one's talking about this in this fight. The only real knock I can say about this guy is his cardio. And a lot of that criticism comes from, I think it was back in 2018. He lost the fight that went into the second round. And he also looked kind of tired in a decision. But 5 months before he lost lost in the second round, he beat another guy in the second round. So I don't even know if I'm sold on that. Sorry, I'm rambling right now. I apologize. Chris Daukaus got me very excited. Rodrigo Nascimento, 8-0, 2 knockouts, 6 subs on the other side. Grapple heavy guy. He won his UFC debut back in May after the Dana White's Contender Series. Has a lot of submissions. Like I said, 6 out of his 8 wins. His last one was against Dontel Mays. Doesn't impress me all that much, just because Mays has lost 3 of his 11 career fights on the ground. He still obviously could win this fight, but he's going off at $9,200 on DraftKings. I would not touch Nascimento for that price. Chris Daukaus is at $7,000, and I'm not just riding him because he won the last fight. $7,000. I think he has a legit path to victory in this fight on the feet and staying away from trouble on the ground. I would take Chris Daukaus as a very low-end DraftKings play in this fight. Nascimento, $9,200 for me. That's a stay away. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, on this one, I don't know enough about Nascimento personally, but Chris Daukaus is a pretty well-rounded mixed martial artist, like you said. He's a great black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has a pretty well-rounded stand-up, and the price tag on Nascimento seems a little bit steep and he doesn't, to me, have the best gas tank. So Daukaus could have a 3-round shindig with him and win that decision quite easily. And so for the money, I would back Daukaus and throw the money on that side.
We have a consistent rule on this show that Mikey Gills, I don't know if you know yet, and it's we stay away from low-level heavyweights in terms of official picks. But
Right.
the reason is for fights like this, where at this level, any fight can be a pick'em.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have comparable level fighters, and you have Chris Dawkins at plus 225. It's like if you're going to bet anything on this fight, you're betting Chris Dawkins. It's just that simple. So sorry,
Well,
I did have to look it up. He fought Rodrigo Nascimento fought a Fabricio Nascimento like 4 years ago, and I'm sorry, up here it's his brother. I have this whole thing played out in my head of it was his brother's debut. His fighter fell out. He said he would jump in and fight him. He tried to take it easy on him, but his brother's just that bad. Like it's this whole thing that I'm elaborating in my head that probably didn't actually happen. But so that to say, I'm with you on the underdog. And if you want a little bit of action on here, that's the type you go with, where it's like it's similar in the co-main event of the last fight, Jorgen De Castro versus Felipe. It's a low-level heavyweights, and you have over a plus 200 underdog. If you want a little bit of action, that's where you should throw it. I would guarantee you, if you broke it down, if you would consistently bet the underdog in low-level heavyweight fights, you would end up way ahead. So
I agree.
Next up, we have everybody's favorite fighter, Tom Breeze. And I'm saying that because in the history of this show, both me and Mike have said, real Mike, have said such awful, awful things about Tom Breeze.
Oh, I'm going to say some more things.
Well, he is a currently minus 260 favorite versus KB Buhler at plus 220. Sorry, I don't agree with any time Tom Breeze is as much a favorite over anybody, but Mikey Gills, Tom Breeze in terms of DraftKings versus KB Buhler.
I'm actually a little interested in real Mike. He sounds like he's got something to say on this one. What do you got for us?
Oh man, I don't like weak people, man. I mean, you don't get to be a Copenhagen, you don't get to be in my family if you're weak. It just doesn't happen because my brother would have killed you long ago. So I don't get weak because I just couldn't be weak, even if I wanted to, and I had a boo boo and I wanted someone to be nice to me. My brother's gonna like step on the boo boo or throw some acid on it or something crazy. So Tom Breeze is soft, bro. Like he is like so soft that he's like Charmin soft, like 3-ply, maybe going on 4-ply with aloe vera added to the fucking cotton. He is so wishy-washy, bro, that he's ducked multiple fights because he's had anxiety attacks. Bro, I don't know if he knows this, but a lot of fucking these fighters have anxiety. How do you not have anxiety when you're gonna go walk up and combat against another fucking person in front of the whole world, let alone it's scary to just combat against one person in the wrestling room or the jiu-jitsu dojo? So Tom Breeze, bro, besides it's like some good grappling, I'll give him that. He's soft, dude. Like he does not have the heart of a fighter. He's one of those guys, like I said, you drop him in the alley, he's not gonna have your back. He's gonna probably fucking run the other way, and he's definitely not gonna take any damage for you while he ran. So I'm backing KB Buhler. I almost bet him just because I hate Tom Breeze so much, but I try not to let my passion or my hatred get into my bets. So that's another smart thing for you people is that if you just hate someone and you despise them, do not bet them. Example, who's lost me money? 2 people, Randa Marcos and fucking Lauren Murphy. I absolutely despise Lauren Murphy. I don't even know how she's fucking here, but every time I fade her, she wins. And so she's fucking done a great job. Somehow fucking here, won so many fights. It's fucking insane. Can't wait to fucking fade her till she loses. But Tom Breeze, soft, not my type of fighter. I wouldn't back him anywhere. I wouldn't back him against any fucking buddy. No one. There's not one fighter on the UFC, not even a girl that I would back him against. He's soft.
Well, all right. Well, Tom Breeze, 11-2, 3 knockouts, 7 subs. He's going off for $9,100 on DraftKings. For a lot of the reasons that you just said, I wouldn't bet him. He's 4-2 in the UFC. You know, he's a decent skill set wise. He's a decent fighter all around. But the anxiety issues that you were talking about, There was a fight not too long ago. We were talking about Kevin Holland earlier, where he went against Kevin Giles, where Kevin Giles like fainted or something right before he walked out on, or right before he had his walkout, and they had to cancel the fight. That I had Kevin Holland on my fight card for that slate, and I lost everything. I didn't get a point because you can't cancel it at that point. So I wouldn't back Tom Breeze for that. I also wouldn't back his opponent for the same situation. KB Bullard's 8-0, 4 knockouts. He's making his UFC debut. What's known about this guy? He's the middleweight champion of Unified MMA in Canada. He's a teammate of Tanner Bozer. There's very limited fight tape. I tried to find stuff on him. I couldn't find much. Primarily a grappler, will push you against the cage and throw some strikes. But other than that, I couldn't find a lot on him. My pick has to be Tom Breeze just because I don't know enough about Bullard to say otherwise. But it's a total stay away from me. Bob, what are you thinking?
Similar to you guys, you should never, ever, ever have money in any fight where Tom Breeze is involved at all on either side, because skill for skill, Tom Breeze should roll. He absolutely should. The only fight for sure that I've seen from KB Buller is I saw the fight where he fought one-time UFC vet Matt Dwyer, and he looked good, but I mean Dwyer wasn't anything to write home about. Obviously, Breeze is a much higher of a step up, but I mean, is he going to be? There's always so many question marks with Tom Breeze, how he is going in, and I just remember when he first came into the UFC being so excited about him, and just inability to pull the trigger, and just, I don't mean to mock mental weakness or mental issues. That's not my point. Just if you have them, you probably shouldn't be a cage fighter. And he's choosing to be, although his body and mind keep trying to kick him out of it. So I guess pick Tom Breeze, but I would not be surprised if while he is in there, he just starts freezing every time he gets hit, and it's done not long, or just like loses a terrible decision or something like that. So I guess pick Tom Breeze, but I wouldn't put a 10 cents on this because I would likely lose it if I somehow thought I could put money on him.
Yeah.
Next up, Yosef Zalal, -185 versus Ilya Topuria, +160. Real Mike will give this one to you first. I believe Zalal has made us money in the past. How do you like him in this matchup?
You know, to be honest, because I've been working so much on this particular matchup, I didn't get to do Zalal's opponent's rec. I didn't get to do much research on him. But Yusuf Zalal, he's a really good mixed martial artist, really well-rounded. He has really good movement. He's got good ground game. And so I don't know what's his opponent's what's he good at? Because I don't know shit about him.
He's primarily a grappler. He's a guy. I'll tell you right now, he's 8-0. He's got 7 submissions. 7 of his wins have been in the first round. This is a guy who doesn't waste any time. His style is really just kind of wing power shots to get you against the cage, and then he works for the takedown and goes for the subs immediately. For this fight in particular with Topuria, there's a few things I don't like. One of them is that he's taking the fight on short notice, which is a big, especially going against Zalal, could be a big deal. Another one is that he's never been the distance before, and a guy like Zalal, he'll take you there. I mean, he'll drown you if you give him the chance. Zalal on the other side, 10-2, 2 knockouts, 5 subs. 5'10", 75-inch reach, going off for $8,600. I don't think I said it earlier. Topuria's going off at $7,600. Zalal is a Factory X Muay Thai guy, won 4 in a row. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Really creative striker, like you guys are saying, just throw everything at you. Slippery defensively, good work, good footwork against the cage. At 7,600 though, Topuria for me is a really attractive DraftKings pick. I know Zalal's never been sub before, but a guy who's that aggressive with his takedowns and that aggressive with his top game, we're going to need some cheap picks on this card. And for me, Zalal at 7,600, even if he can't get that finish, his style could lead to getting at least 2 rounds on a decision. So hopefully Topuria being a fast starter doesn't gas him out immediately as soon as the second round starts. I like Zalal. He's a Factory X guy, like our boy Brandon Royval, who won us some money last week. But, for me, man, I've been going back and forth on this one. I'm going to play Topuria on our card tonight, but it's hard to make a real pick on this one for me.
Yeah, well, after hearing that alone, it sounds like he could give Zalal some trouble because Zalal has some pretty weak takedown defense. And so if he can ride out 2 good rounds, I could see that being some problems. So the number could be bait on the odds there.
Yeah.
One thing with Ilya Taporia to realize is he is making his UFC debut, and he hasn't fought for almost a full year. So as someone who has untested cardio, to not have fought for that long going against a UFC veteran could be issue. So in terms of betting this, we're not betting this, but if you want to have money on this fight and you like Zalal, because I do like Zalal, I'm picking Zalal in this fight, is you look for the if your personal book offers it, look for live betting after the first round, because Ilya's going to come out for something to prove. He's going to go after it in the first round, trying to go for the finish. He may get might get close on a couple submission attempts. It's very possible. He may even get it. But if it gets in between rounds and you did like Zalal, have faith, throw some money in, because then you might be getting him at actually dog money rather than paying minus 185 for him. Because remember, he's fighting a 23-year-old UFC debutant that hasn't fought in a year. It's like these things do factor up. So pick Zalal, no money on it because he's crazy steep right now, but look for those live odds in between. Like if I had to guess, judging by how Ilya can go in there, you may at very least get Zalal at low, like plus 110 area, depending how that first round goes. Now, next up, we have the English Frank Mir, Tom Aspinall. He's a massive minus 440 after looking phenomenal in his last go out, and Daddy was proud of him. Frank Mir was proud of him so much so that even his bygone sister is jumping into MMA because she was that moved by how well Aspinall did. Obviously, that's all hyperbole. Versus Alan Baudot, I'm gonna go with Baudot, plus 350. Actually, I'll since I don't do it very often, I'll give my take on this one. I don't think a lot of things are going to be. We probably are very on same things for this one because he's such a big favorite. But either way, Baudot is a light heavyweight. He likes to swing, and I think he's tailor-made for Aspinall to look good. The UFC is liking their new little English prospect here. They need a new English star since Darren Till has faltered, and heavyweight is always a good chance. I do think that as Baudot tries to throw wild and go for the finish, Aspinall is going to be able to light him up and basically do whatever he wants, given his experience and given his skill. So obviously not too crazy pick being Aspinall. He's minus 440. You're not going to do much with that. And I'm not 100% certain he gets the finish, but I think it's going to be a clear win regardless. So Real Mike, English Frank Mir, Baudot.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think that Aspinall is definitely the English little crumpet for the UFC right now. They definitely have him in his sights to make them some money with just starring and being that they have such a big market over there, and it's without Darren Till being as popular or as I guess good. I don't know either one right now. They definitely need that. And Aspinall is tough, dude. He's got a really good ground game. He's got some power in his hands. I just think it's trouble, and it's just a makeshift fight for him to just do whatever he wants to this other guy. And I think that he would be a for sure someone I'd have in DraftKings, like Mikey would probably say. And if I was gonna parlay things, I would probably throw him in there too. So
yeah, coming soon to an arena headlining in Liverpool near you. Tom Aspinall, he's 8-2. I love this guy. Mike, before you got here, we were talking off air about how much I personally love Tom Aspinall. He's going off for $9,400 on DraftKings. He's 8-2, but he's only really got one loss. One of them was a John Jones where he was just whooping a dude's ass too bad, and he caught him with the elbows, and they disqualified him. This is a guy who not just 8-2, he was also 5-0 as an amateur. He's got super slick boxing. He is a fast, athletic heavyweight. You watch the tape on this guy, and he is legit. This isn't like some Darren Till where you're not
fast. He's fast as fuck for being big. Fast.
240 pounds, just slick as hell on his feet. Great boxing, great feints. He draws his opponents in and counters them as quick as he can. And if that's not enough, also a black belt on the ground. So pick your poison with this guy. Have fun. Alan Baudot, 8-1, 7 knockouts at $6,800. He's won 4 of his last 5, but hasn't fought since April of 2019. Now, you guys know how I like to do this. Very questionable opponents on this guy's record. His last opponent was 9-4, but before that there was an 0-2. Then he lost to a 6-1. There was a 6-11, an 0-0, and a 4-3. As far as fight style, this guy's going to go in there. He's going to swing wild. He's going to leave his chin out there. He's going to get knocked out. There's his one knockout. If you go to watch it, he literally runs at a guy like, just boom, cracked in the chin, falls face first. It looked like man, who was like Paul Daly versus Scott Smith. Yeah, remember when he just face planted on the mat back in Strikeforce?
Nice.
That's what's going to happen with this fight. Tom Aspinall, $9,400. Lock him in your lineup. Let's go.
God, I wish Aspinall was like negative 180, so we could just slam him.
Well, just wait till they really piss off Mikey Gills, and in this very next fight, after Aspinall gets this win real quick, they make Aspinall versus Romanoff, and they make him pick between his favorites.
Dude, that would be rough. Evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Look,
Dude, they'll do that because they don't know how to properly
Adjust
elevate a fighter. It's like, oh yeah, you're a pretty good prospect. Hey, you're a pretty good prospect. Just fight each other. It's fine. We don't need to worry about one of you likely being a star in one part of the world and one of you being a star in the other part of the world. Let's just do this.
We start our Twitter campaign tonight. Everyone bombard Sean Shelby. We will not let this happen. We keep Romanoff and Aspinall separate until they're at the title point. Forget about it.
We finally have two legit. Like, I know we have like up and comers at heavyweight, but they're the type of up and comers that are like literally 1-1 away from a title shot. It's nice to see that we have like Aspinall and Romanov, like they're in that ground level of like they have like
Aspinall's
2 years.
Boxing. Aspinall's boxing is too good, man.
Where they could just clear people out and like build up a good record, like the way they used to do, like with like Stipe on his way up. Obviously, before Struve knocked him out, but we don't like to talk about that. Next up, Marcus Perez plus 130 versus Dricus Duplessis, which is minus 150, which just sounds like a legal term. Mikey Gills, Marcus Perez,
all right,
Duplessis.
We're gonna start off with Dricus Duplessis because it's the greatest name I've ever heard in my life.
Crazy name.
He's 14-2 with 5 knockouts, 9 subs. He's finished every single win in his career. 6 foot 70-inch reach, going for $8,400 on DraftKings. Like I said, he's a true finisher. He's won 2 in a row. His style, he just uses his striking to get inside. He's not the most technical guy ever, but he throws with a lot of power. He's super good on the ground. He uses ground and pound just to soften his opponents up, get in there and go for the sub. He's fighting Marcus Perez, 12-3, 6 subs, 6'1", 73-inch reach. One thing I like about Perez is the 6 subs. This is a guy who's confident. He's going to go in there thinking he can hold his own on the ground, but he can't hold his own on the ground, not against Duplessis. I think Driscoll is the better fighter of these two, and with his finishing ability for $8,400, I love him in this fight, and I'm putting him in our lineup. Let's go all day, Duplessis.
So Duplessis will blow your meniscus. He's fucking ridiculous, that name. I just love fucking around with it. I think that he's gonna be too much for Marcus Perez as well. I think that that's why you're seeing the number where it's at. Marcus Perez is not bad. He's just there sometimes, and he's gonna be there for Duplessis to do his thing, and I think that he could possibly get a submission over Marcus Perez.
Now, this is one of the few times that I'm going to dissent against both, mainly because as awesome of a name as
it's all good.
Duplessis
I'm with Mike. We're good.
Still Knox, as his nickname is. And he's 14-2, and that's a fantastic record. But one of those losses was submission loss to Gareth McClellan. I'm sorry, I can't mess with a guy that has a submission loss to Gareth McClellan. And don't get me wrong, Marcus Perez is a crazy person. He's an absolute crazy person. How much he goes crazy. What
was a submission loss? What was it? A guillaguillotine or rear naked choke, or like was it an armbar at least?
Guillotine, but let me check. Yeah,
that's even worse. Oh, guillotine. That's like gross to me, bro. That's like real gross.
Yeah. I do truly think that Marcus Perez has a few screws loose. His utter obsession with the Joker, and he plays it a little bit too good to the point of like it's like his spirit animal, which is his own issue. I do think he is just opportunistic enough. Like I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. I do think just gets Duplessis. His name, sorry, I can't get past it. He has a bunch of shiny spots, and he looks like the real deal, and he very well might be the real deal. And this is a good test, actually. Like if he just completely starches him, and I'm wrong, I get it. But I think I agree. I think he's gonna go in there. He's gonna go crazy, and meaning like going for the finish and be aggressive and put it out there, and maybe even go for a submission. And Marcus Perez is just that particular kind of crazy that's just going to latch on to whatever he possibly has and try his best to get a finish. It's going to be probably only like a round and a half, 2 rounds of fury because I've seen Marcus Perez gas out pretty bad. So if he, after about a round and a half, everything I'm saying will probably reverse itself. So I got about 7 or 8 minutes of Marcus Perez having a good chance of maybe getting a finish here. And once it gets past that point, you can pretty much check it off and you could say I'm wrong because once it gets past that point, I will likely be wrong on that part. But pick is Perez.
If nothing else, the weigh-ins will be fun with the whole Joker thing.
That's true. I'm surprised they let him do that only because they won't let everyone's favorite Ian Cutelaba paint himself green anymore.
Yeah, why can't he do that?
Apparently it's against the new the dress code policy or but they won't let him paint himself green, but they'll let Marcus, although I don't think he tells anybody, he kind of just does it, and then when he pulls his hair back, that's the first time you see it. Although wearing a mask, it might smudge. I don't know.
Like literally every fighter outside of the United States paints their flag on their face.
That's why my brother literally legally named himself War Machine because they wouldn't let him in the UFC announce his name anymore because there was a comic book about this War Machine Rhino or War Machine back in the day. Mm-hmm. And they fucking made a big old shit fit about my brother using it on TV. So my brother said, oh, cool, I'll fucking change my whole name to War Machine. And you have to call it.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate warrior changing his name for copyright reasons.
Yeah, I was glad he changed his name because I was like, I'm the only fucking male Copenhagen left. You keep your ass away from my fucking name. And he fucking changed it. And look where he is now. He's in jail forever. And then he wanted to change it back. And I said, you don't fucking keep your fucking shitty ass name. You fucking changed your name. You're fucking whatever you want to be over there, little machine. I'm fucking Copenhagen. You're a little baby machine over there, right? Now I'm boss, big bro. Now the fuck I'm boss. I'm the king over here, motherfucker. I'm rich as fuck. You're over there. That's how it works. Told that fool. Oh, we're gonna go on a full rant right now. That motherfucker used to be like, "Oh, bro, you fucking want you fight?" I'm like, bro, because I'm gonna fucking make more money than you doing not fighting. Like, I don't get. Why would I want to do what you do every day? You see what you do every day? You go every day and go to work out 2+ hours. You train 5+ hours. That sounds about 8+ too many hours of doing anything that I didn't want to do. I want to fucking go and smoke weed when I'm off. I want to be at the beach. I want to be barbecuing. I don't fucking want to do all that, War Machine. That's for you. It's for the birds. I like talking about it, like watching it, like talking about how crazy these fools are. But dude, like I said, I told that fool I make more money than him one day. Boom. Sup?
Boom.
So yeah, you average out the salaries right now. I'm like, you're looking real good.
Oh, I wrecked him. So I destroyed it. He's like peasantry to me. Hey, my EMT money made more money than you now, War Machine. That's how weak your shit was.
Well, it happens.
No,
Next up, somebody who did make a lot of money, but not in the UFC. Ben Rothwell, minus 160 versus Marcin.
Oh, fuck this guy. This is one of my guys on the list. The first one. This is one of the first. The first, Mikey. You don't know about this fucking.
When he was on the juice, and then he got suspended and came back.
This is when I learned a lesson about betting. All right, what was Ben Rothwell JDS, right? JDS 2017. What year?
I think so because I think that's when he tested positive.
Okay, that's when Michael started betting like kind of professionally. Okay, and I was like, oh, cool. Ben Rothwell JDS is old. He's not gonna do anything. I'm gonna go
2016.
Dude, I'm going to go and bet. I'm going to drive. I drove all the way to Las Vegas, dude, to put this bet in. I put $800 on stupid ass fucking Ben Slothwell to do his zombie arm fucking hands out in front of him fucking towards fucking JDS for 3 rounds, pretty much like Aldana versus Holm this last fucking weekend. Fucking, I slept in my car so I could put more money on this fight.
It's not that fight. It can't be that fight because Ben Rothwell lost to JDS.
I know. I'm lost.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were.
Oh, I bet on Rothwell. I'm a fucking loser. I bet on him. I bet on the Slothwell. I bet on him versus JDS. I fucking lost $800 in Las Vegas. Slept in my car. If you go back to the card, it was a European card or something weird, and it was at like 11 a.m. on Sunday. So it was such a weird time, right? So I didn't want. I was like, I'm only coming to bet, so I don't need a hotel room Saturday night, right? I'll sleep in my car. It was raining. Slept in my car. It was raining. I slept like shit. I fucking go in there in the morning to watch this fucking fight. I fucking lose. You know what gets worse? Checkout time is at 11 a.m. on Sunday. Is the worst fucking possible time for anyone to leave Las Vegas. I know this. My family's from Las Vegas. I was fucked. I had no fucking money. I had to go home. I fucking lost $800. I had nowhere to go. I could have gone to my family's, but I didn't want to go there. It was such a shit show. 8 hours it took me to get home. It's a 4-hour drive. I almost lost my mind. I lost all my money. I fucking hate you, Ben Rothwell. So fuck you, Rothwell. Definitely not picking you ever.
So I think Real Mike's going with the Polish Tybura.
Oh, Polish sausage all day. Polish sausage all day.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to follow that. Ben Rothwell, $8,500 on DraftKings versus Tybura, who's $7,700. I guess just a real
Imagine walking on the stage after me, bro. I was like, oh, I guess I'll just leave.
I'm a little off keel right now. I don't know where to start this.
I'm a psychopath. Mikey, do your thing. You're way smarter. Do that shit.
Ben Rothwell is just at that point in his career where he's been popped for roids, I think, twice now. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but he's not on the good part of it. But he won his last 2 fights. Really bad win against OSP from a light heavyweight who moved up. Not really much happened in that fight. Before that, he beat the corpse of Stefan Struve, like the giant corpse of Stefan Struve. Going up against Tybura, 6-5 in the UFC. Beat Spivak and Max Grisham in his last fight. Stylistically, going into this fight, it's a stay away from me for either guy bettings. I don't know what I'm getting out of Rothwell. Tybura is going to try to push him into the cage, maybe try to take him down. I'm not sure he could. Realistically, scratch everything that I just said. This fight is going to be Tybura pushing Rothwell up against the cage. Nothing much happening for about 15 straight minutes. I don't think either guy's going to score a lot of points in this one. Complete stay away from me. What do you guys got for Bob?
This fight is sad, and it's going to be sad, and you're going to be sad after watching it because I don't know what happened post testing positive.
See what I would have done.
He is a fighter that can't finish a fight. Stefan Struve does not count.
No. See, what I would have done with this matchup is split them up, and they both could have fought the losers who fought last weekend in the co-main event, and we could have actually had some people die in front of us. Rothwell could have beat up to Jorgen or fucking maybe that other sloth dude. I mean, either way, we could have had a better fights. Now we had last weekend shit show, and now we have the battle of no one gives a fuck about either of you. You have 0 fans. No one likes you. You have no money. Okay. You're not going to have any money out. Too bad you both can't lose because that's what should happen. Both fucking are losers. They should both fucking they're done. The UFC's done with them. They're old. Nothing's going to happen to them. This is the last fight for both of them, dude.
I think we're just going to move on.
Yeah. Fucking hate Bren Rothwell.
And
I'm also playing around a lot of the time, people, so don't take me serious.
In the co-main event, Edson Barboza. This is at featherweight, mind you. Second fight at featherweight. Edson Barboza minus 260 versus Makwan, Mr. Finland, Amir Khani plus 220. We'll go with, I think we went with Real Mike last time. We'll go Mikey Gills this time for Edson Barboza, Makwan, Amir Khani.
All right, let's start off with Makwan Amir Khani. 16-4, 1 KO, 11 sub, or is it 6? Sorry, before the show, I had to transcribe all my notes real quick. I can't remember his exact record, but regardless, 1 KO, 11 subs, 7,400 on DraftKings, training out of SBG in Ireland. He's 3-2 in his last 5, coming off the win over Danny Henry back in July. Stylistically, we all know exactly what he needs to do. He needs to stay the hell away from the kicks of Barboza and get this fight to the ground immediately. On the other side, Barboza, 29, 11 KO, 2 subs, 5'11", 79-inch reach. He's the favorite, $8,800 on DraftKings, which for me is just a little bit too high of a price for a guy at Barboza's age, at this stage in his career, where he's coming down in weight. You're never really sure, especially a guy with an explosive style like Barboza likes to bring. I am picking Barboza to win this fight, don't get me wrong, but at $8,800, I don't know that I can trust he's going to be able to stay at that for the entire the second round, the third round. Once Makwan Amir Khani really starts to pressure him and get this fight to the ground, I just don't know if I can lay that much of my salary on him. But for me, Barboza is going to win this fight using his striking. And Murakami's going to get kicked in the leg a lot. I don't know if he's going to be able to get those takedowns late because of that. So for me, Barboza the winner. What do you guys got?
Yeah,
Go for it, Mike.
on this one, I have a rule, and it's OG versus the not OG. Okay, and this is an exact prime example of an OG versus a not OG. And so there's no fucking way that I can. I like Mr. Finland. I like his game. I like all of his bitches. Okay, all of the bitches.
Dude, his Tapology photo?
All the bitches on his yacht, all the bitches that he hangs with. I want to hang with the flowers too, all right? But I got a family. I can't do that, bro. I can't be like War Machine. That's why he's bad. It's where he is. He's trying out forever. I gotta be an adult. So, Mr. Finland, it doesn't work like this, bro. You just don't get to eat pussy all day and get to eat snacks and do all these fucking fun stuff and go on yachts and stuff. It's just not how it works, all right? Barbosa, leg kicks from fucking hell. I don't think that he's ever been kicked as hard as that Barbosa is going to lay into him. There's no way that he's going to have a submission game that Barbosa hasn't seen. Barbosa should easily be able to dominate a decision very much like Casey Kenny fucking won last weekend, dude. Something similar. He should be able to easily just batter and beat Amir Makani's legs up so that they're worthless, and then just continue on with the fucking the spiel, and possibly TKO him. But I think he just got way too much from him. Barbosa's the OG. I'm gonna go with the OG because that's my rule, and or see how that rolls.
Now, for my take on this, the last time Barbosa fought a fighter of Amir Khani's level was in 2013 versus Rafael Oliveira. If you don't remember Rafael Oliveira, there's a reason. I agree with the leg kicks the guys brought up. Edson Barbosa is not just going to hit the leg kicks, he's going to go heavy to the body and legs. Those kicks are just spinning back kick to the stomach, chopping on those legs. Amir Khani cannot take the type of punishment that Dan Hooker took, that heck Dan Ige took. Like, I still do not care. Barbosa won that fight. I don't care. I don't care what the results say. Barbosa won that fight.
We won that fight.
He's not taking that. He is not taking the type of punishment that even Paul Felder took the last 2 times they fought. It's not happening. And Real Mike knows I don't bet props. I'm not a prop guy. I'm a prop guy here. I've only bet props twice in the past.
Ooh, we're getting a prop from Bob.
I know you're getting a prop.
Holy shit. We need I wish we had like a light bulb.
Can handle 3 rounds of what Barbosa is going to push out. I do not. I think he's going to quit. I do think he's a quitter. I think when he cannot get to his spot and do what he needs to do, I think he's a quitter and he's going to look for a way out. And I like Barbosa inside the distance. It's plus 115, and I'm going to put 1 unit at the plus 115 for Edson Barbosa because Amir Khani cannot handle that smoke.
Mr. Quitland.
No, exactly. Now, in the main event, because if you notice something different from last week's card, this main card, pretty much starting from, in terms of just like matchups and fights, starting from like the Zalal fight and down, this is spectacular.
Last week's card sucked. Okay.
Oh, man.
It was garbage.
This is way better. And the main event, we're going to go Mikey Gills first, and then we'll go Real Mike, because I know Real Mike has a hot take on here, and his bet's involved in this main event, so we're going to give it to him after that. But Marlon Moraes, plus 110 versus Corey Sandhagen, a one-time title challenger to hopefully a future title challenger. Sandhagen at the minus 130. Enter Sandman. If that's not his nickname or the song he comes out to, he's failing. This is your main event. Mikey Gills, give us the 1s and 2s and the DraftKings breakdown before Real Mike goes off, and then I'll give my little 2 cents at the end.
All right, start off with Marlon Moraes, 23-6-1, 10 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's 5'6", 66.5-inch reach, going off for $8,000 on DraftKings. Really impressive resume. He's 5-1 in his last 6 with wins over John Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera, Rafael Sunsao, and most recently coming off a close decision win over Jose Aldo in December, and his only loss in that entire span was to Triple C himself, Henry Cejudo. His style, great leg kicks, even better head kicks. He's super quick with fast, powerful hands, just pure death touch ability on this guy. You got to love it. Defensively, I think he can leave himself just a little bit too open when he's going for the kill And I think that can hurt him in this fight because on the other side, we got Corey Sandhagen, 12-2, 4 knockouts, 3 subs. He's 5'11", 70-inch reach, $8,200. He's coming off a loss to Aljamain Sterling, but before that, he had won 7 straight with five finishes. Important to note about that Aljamain Sterling fight: it was a very fast submission loss. Sterling just bum rushed him, took his back, and immediately locked in the choke. And basically less time than it took me to say the sentence about how it happened. But his style, great boxing, he uses feints, great footwork. He outworks guys over the course of the fight. He's a much taller, longer fighter. He's got really good boxing on the inside. He likes to utilize that push kick to keep distance. But his biggest weapon in this fight, I think, is his cardio. I think he can push Marlon Moraes around. Sorry, I can't talk. If this is a 3-round fight, I might take Moraes. Honestly, I might. In a 3-round fight, I might take him. But man, Sandhagen over the course of 5, I don't know. He's a bad man. I got to go with Sandhagen on this one. I think he's a total package fighter, and I think he'll take him out late or win a clean decision over him. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I used to think that Sandhagen was something special until he lasted about 30 seconds or a 2-pump chump on a Saturday like some wimp with a beautiful girl. Sandhagen's soft, not to be trusted at all. Marlon Moraes is so fucking fast that before Sandhagen realizes what the fuck's hit him, he's going to be kicked upside his head and probably unconscious. Same way that Aljamain Sterling ended up unconscious. Aljamain Sterling won that fight because he was too fast for Sandhagen, and he was too much for him. And it was just storm. Marlon Moraes is a storm too. He comes fast and he can hit you fast. So if Sandhagen has any doubt in his chin, if Sandhagen does something cocky or does something stupid, he's a good boxer, but Marlon Moraes is a great kickboxer. So not only is he a great boxer with his hands, he has kicks that are just way more deadly. I think he's going to be able to batter Corey Sandhagen's little chicken legs that he's got. I don't think that his base is strong enough for the type of damage that Marlon Moraes can put out there. I think that Marlon Moraes is going to finish him. But what's the odds at, Bob?
I'm going to double check to make sure that the odds haven't changed. I think they have from when I made the notes. My notes, it fluctuated. Okay. My notes were plus 110. It looked like it hopped up to plus 115, but it's back to plus 110 for Marlon Moraes.
Okay, so I'll be putting a unit down on Magic Marlon Moraes. Moraes plus 110 is an absolute gift for a fighter that can easily quit Sandhagen, much like Aljamain choked him out. I mean, we're not even talking about Marlon Moraes got good jiu-jitsu too. And if Aljo submitted him that quick, I don't trust Sandhagen's jiu-jitsu at all. I just no way that I'd be picking the favorite Sandhagen in this one. It's dog all day, and we'll be rolling with that dog money.
I'm 50-50 on this fight. I agree with both, which sounds odd. I'll give my little mini breakdown. A few ones I've actually written a little something up on, just because I'm two opposite minds here, and it could definitely go both ways. Moraes is an all-action fighter early. And if he comes at Sandhagen right away and then loads and doesn't and overwhelms him, he won't give him time to set up, because Sandhagen needs time to create his distance, to establish his striking. And if he doesn't, he has really good lateral movement. But if Moraes is Mike's right. Moraes is so fast. If he just goes directly at him, he almost won't be able to sidestep and circle out in time, and he'll get pushed against the fence and just be eating shots. Those kicks are insane for Moraes. So if that's happening, it's probably happening in the first 2 rounds. Now for the Sandhagen side, if Sandhagen can get his distance dialed and circle away, I know I talked about how the speed of Moraes, but if Moraes is even the least bit gun shy and Sandhagen can establish his distance, his defense goes up tremendously once his distance is established. And then over 5, it gets a little hinky. But in terms of more likely to finish, you got to go Moraes. Decision more towards Sandhagen. So I get it on the DraftKings side, because ultimately who could score the most points is probably Sandhagen over the course of 5. But if you're going by best chance of a finish, probably more on the Moraes side. So I guess, I don't know. I have sour taste in my mouth from how Corey Sandhagen did us dirty versus Aljamain Sterling.
Dirty.
So that's a little bit of it for sure, because we really liked him in that matchup. We like the same thing. We thought his striking was too good, and
I didn't get a fight. Didn't even get a fight.
I love Aljo, but Aljo doesn't have hands at all. It's kicking, and it's his amazing ground game. but
Yeah,
there's
I
no
think he
striking.
just caught him sleeping. It's almost like a flash knockout in a sense. Just he
So
ran at him so fast.
we're gonna find out when Magic Marlon Moraes come at him fast with some kicks from both sides, because he can circle right into a kick either way. Either side you want to circle, bro, I'm gonna throw a kick. I mean, that's how easy that is.
Yeah, but then you also have a point where, I mean, other than like years ago against Jamal Emmers, who a lot of guys have early loss against Jamal Emmers, he has been undefeated in the UFC, and even before that, doing really well. This is his first loss in a long, long time. So mentally, I don't know how that's going to land. I mean, obviously, like a lot of people kind of have this dip after their first UFC loss. Usually, it's that dip post title challenge. So, because Moraes even had a little bit of that in the Aldo fight, because I bet him big there, and I know he won, but that was way too close for comfort for me. But he should be back now, whereas this might be the drop off for Sandhagen. So I don't know, but I get the going for dog money here for someone who's faster and has bigger finishing ability. So
And
that's
it's
my
the
way of
OG.
saying I'm going to follow Mike and bet it, because I do think that if there's a finish, it's going to be on him, and you're getting Marlon Rice at dog money. So there's that. So this
It's
is a
also
quick,
the OG versus the non-OG too. So it's a perfect.
as a quick review on the bets, we're going to do a quick review on the bets, then we'll throw it to Mikey Gills to give you our drafting lines before we do our outro. The review is we have 1 unit on Barbosa in the distance at plus 115, and we have 1 unit on Marlon Moraes at plus 110. So that's 2 underdog bets for you on Fight Island 5. Now, Mikey Gills, give us a little overview of our DraftKings lineup.
Yeah, let's start off with our most expensive player, our boy Tom Aspinall. Honestly, you could throw him against a lot of the UFC heavyweights right now, most of the ranked guys, and I would still pick him. I think this is an absolute gift at $9,400. He's going to walk through this guy. Next up for $9,300, Tagir Ulanbekov, and another one. I think the UFC tossed this guy a softball. I think he's going to get Bruno Silva out of there. I think the matchup is perfect for him, and I think he's going to score us a lot of points. Next up at 8,400, my boy with the greatest name ever, Dricus Duplessis. I can't wait to yell that out loud after he wins. I think
Say that 5 times fast.
Don't make me up and drinking. But I think the UFC set him up nice against Marcus Perez. You know, it's not quite the softball that Tagir and Aspinall have been given, but I think this guy's finished every single win of his career, and I think he's going to do the same here. $8,400. Next up at $8,300, Omar Morales. This guy is just the total package, and I think Giga Chikadze is just a little too limited in his style. I think he's skated by in a couple of split decisions in his UFC tenure so far. And I think Morales is just the type of guy that's not going to get beat up on the feet. He can press him up against the cage, get him down on the ground, score some points, either win a clean decision or finish him. So he's up at 8,300. Next up at 7,600, Ilya Taporia. And at this price, he's one of the better dog plays at that end of the card. He comes out of the gate hot every time. He finishes opponents in his fights really early. I know Zalal's never been submitted before, but again, like we were talking about earlier, if Taporia with his grappling style can just eke out 2 of the 3 rounds, it's $7,600 with passing guard, advancing position, going for submissions. That'll score on DraftKings too. So $7,600, we're going to lock him in. And then next up, my first pick ever, my heart, Chris Daukaus, $7,000. Black belt. I think he can stay out of trouble on the ground with this guy. He's an athletic guy with powerful hands. He's a little underrated. I even in our first show, I underrated him a little bit, even in picking him. And he showed me a lot. He's got good boxing. I think he's being written off a little too hard on here. I don't understand $9,200 at all for his opponent on this. I think the line is way too far apart. So Daukaus, $7,000. Let's go. This card leaves you with absolutely no wiggle room. It's kind of the same as last week, but pay attention to this one, because one thing I forgot to get to earlier is in the Barboza fight, if his weight cut goes bad, just that elderly fighter, you know, it is not elderly, he's 34. What am I talking about? But if it looks particularly rough, I might switch up a play and go Makwan Americani in that. But he's not on my card yet. But that's going to take a severely bad weight cut. But for right now, it's like I just said: Aspinall, Ulanbekov, Dricus Duplessis, Omar Morales, Ilya Taporia, and Chris Daukaus. Let's go.
Well, that we will be back next week to preview UFC Fight Island 6 or Takeover vs Korean Zombie. Yes, that fight is finally happening. I'm pumped for that fight.
Yeah, baby.
Subscribe to us on your platform of choice: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, RSS feed. If you're watching us live now on YouTube, but you're not subscribed to us, why would you do that to us? Please subscribe to us on YouTube for the full-length shows. Apple Podcast review, like, comment, and share to spread the word. And with that, let's roll.